I was talking about like getting high and then hooking up, and it was with a girl. It's like, this is literally euphoric.
Whoa.
Yes.
Euphoric, like
that's a big
that's a
word.
special word.
Yes,
to
it's like otherworldly.
What's up, everyone? I am sitting here recording this, and I have to admit, I'm a TikTok guy, right? Like, that's where I make a lot of my content. Sitting here in front of these cameras makes me feel like I've truly stepped into a new career. I hope that everyone's feeling great today because we've got Aspyn Ovard. Aspyn Ovard is an OG YouTuber. I'm talking before all the TikTok trends and TikTok dances and Instagram. She was the OG. She really wrote the script for what YouTube is today. And I find the OG YouTubers so interesting because it was the Wild Wild West. I mean, a lot of them were showing their kids. They didn't care. They were daily vlogging. They were doing whatever they had to do to make content. So now you fast forward, when she was 14, she started. Now she's 29. She's grown. She's an adult. She's matured a lot. Her content has changed incredibly. And we're going to talk about that. Aspyn got married at 19 years old. Well, I don't even know what I was doing when I was 19. I mean, I was like trying to survive in college, and she was getting married. What in her upbringing led her to even want to get married at 19, right? Like, I started dating Allie when I was 19 and got married at 26. And even then I felt like I was young. And don't forget this, her first breakup was her divorce. And now, after this 10-year marriage, she gets to finally explore her sexuality how she wants to. Not many people, when they're at that age, after such a long relationship and having 3 kids, do they get to just embark in the wild, wild west and explore their sexuality. So it's super interesting to hear her talk about it, and I'm excited for you guys to hear it. Now, before we start, I just want to set up the beginning of this because I created a segment called Waste No Time. That's the first question we're going to ask every single guest. Now, we're not going to have a bunch of scripted questions. This will really be the only thing that I choose and I ask them immediately. And it really embodies the whole point of this, right? Like, don't worry, I'll ask. Like, let's get deep. Let's have a real conversation. This isn't surfacey. So enjoy it. You guys are on a journey with me. This is a passion project for me. This isn't something that I just wanted to add to the resume. This is something that I really, really care about. So again, I'm going to ask the questions that you can't. And you don't have to worry because I'll ask. I'm Isaac Rochelle. Enjoy the show. And I say this like...
I have this blanket or not really.
Yeah, you're good.
Shot.
Listen, we want it to be cozy.
I know. Like, I need to get as comfy as possible.
And listen, we love a little blanket too.
We can't have feet for free.
No.
You're gonna have to charge.
No, could you imagine if I'm like, hey, screen record that and we're gonna sell it.
Zoom in on those.
Yeah, that's our content now. So let's waste no time.
Okay.
When is the last time that you felt lost?
I feel like literally all the time.
Yeah.
Like probably literally last time I looked in the mirror. Like
really?
An hour ago. I feel like that all the time. Yeah. It's weird because I feel like myself, especially coming out of like a divorce and just all the things I'm experiencing now, where I'm like living life for myself for the first time in a way, but at the same time, I'm so lost. So all the time. Which
is fascinating to me because with what you've done, starting YouTube at 14,
yeah,
like you have become an expert, for better or for worse, at faking it's not the right word, but like presenting yourself in such a clean, like I call it clean girl aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know, like in such a clean girl aesthetic way, but behind closed doors,
yeah,
there's a struggle.
Yeah, that's definitely like my specialty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be exhausting, right? Because like you're just always having to be on. It's like this weird intersection of like I'm sharing this struggle, but I also have to be like perfect while sharing it.
I know. It's a hard line. And I didn't talk about my divorce for so long because I feel like I was struggling with that. I was like, I don't know. I'm just not the type when I'm going through something, I don't want to talk about it live in the moment. I want to like go through it, process it, and then to have my time to be like, okay, what am I comfortable talking about? What do I want to share? Because I really live by don't share things you don't want to be asked about, or don't share things you don't want people to ruin.
Mm.
And so it was really interesting when like that was taken away from me when my divorce was posted about before I shared anything, because I filed that day and then I never thought anybody would see. Like I've said a million times, I'm like, why would they see? Like I didn't even think twice about it. I just posted that I had my baby. It was April Fool's Day. Everyone's like, this is a prank. This is a joke.
You're like, no,
and
this
I'm like,
is real life. Stop playing games.
Yeah. like, one,
Yeah.
I just had a baby. I don't have time for that. Two, what kind of person do you think I am if you think I would do this as an April Fool's joke? Like, come on. I did not.
Yeah,
But
right? Like, I'm not joking about this.
no, I'm like, I wish it was a joke, actually. But
Yeah, there's so many layers to that too.
yeah.
Because again, I came into this who is Aspyn Ovard situation 5 months ago when you and Allie were
Yeah.
hanging out for the first time. And then I was unpacking these layers. And the first video that I saw of you, which is crazy now that you're sitting here, is the
Yeah.
video where you're like, I don't share my divorce. Because
Yeah. I watched that one the other day. I'm like, oh, yeah, we've come.
But it's
so
crazy
far.
because you're right. That's the mentality that you've had.
Yeah.
But you're also very like conditioned to have the feeling of needing to overshare. That's what I'm saying. It's this weird intersection. So do you feel like you've had like the proper outlets to share? Like, do you want to share more about your divorce to kind of like be like, leave me alone? Or like, how have you felt about that?
I think I probably shared as much as I would, like as much as I will. And I also feel like, I don't know, because I didn't talk about it for so long. Like it was in April 1st when everything happened. And I think I posted that video saying like, see how I don't talk about my divorce online? I think that was like in August. So there was quite a long period where I just didn't say anything. Because I'm not the type to feel like I have to do, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. And I didn't want to talk about it. So I didn't. And then when I finally posted that video, I said I wasn't going to talk about it. And then
the floodgates were open.
Things got a little crazy. And I just didn't know everything that I know now. And so then I went a little nuts because I didn't know how to handle and process like the information that I was finding out. Yeah. And so that was when I did start sharing. I didn't share everything, but I feel like I shared as much as I could without feeling like I shared too much.
Right.
And I still look back. That's actually something I want to do soon because it's coming up on the 1-year anniversary of that being shared. And I was like, I need to like take a look at the recap of what my year was like because I never expected it to blow up on TikTok.
You have lore. Don't sleep on it,
I have so much lore.
Aspyn.
I know, but when it's you, it's like you can't process that. I'm like, oh, I'm just...
Yeah. What was the first video again? Was it the...
I'm trying to think of what the video was that like set off my TikTok moment of the week. I think it might have been the video where I was like talking about things that I wanted in my next partner. And so then people were like, wait, what? What's the lore? Like, what happened? But that definitely kickstarted.
Sparked.
Yeah. Because there's always like the viral thing like of the week. There's always like some type of scandal or like everyone's talking about this person or this thing happened or whatever. I never thought, even though I've had like a very steady career of doing this like influencer job, I never thought I would be like the viral moment of the week on TikTok. And then when I was, I'm like, wait, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That I was.
No, it was a moment.
It was. And I don't like think of myself as an influencer or like famous, whatever. Yeah. Like I just don't think of myself that way. So when I look back at that, that's why it's on my to-do list this week to be like, I need to go and like deep dive my own, literally. I'm like, I'm going to make a TikTok series about it, but I need to like deep dive my own lore because I'm like, what even happened? Like, what did I share? Is there anything I feel like I should take down? Like, how did this happen? Because it was just a whirlwind. And I was like finding out all of these things as I was sharing. And so I didn't do my normal approach of like taking my time to process and then figuring it out and then figuring out what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
It was like doing everything at once. So it was just like free falling crazy. And then there's like all these videos about me on my own For You page, which normally I don't watch stuff like that because I'm just like, I just don't.
Yeah.
But I was like, no,
I was into my own
your
lore. Own For You page.
Yeah.
That's when you know you've made it though.
I know.
Honestly.
I was on Aspyn Ovard TikTok. I was.
Yeah, I randomly was too. So you had your divorce.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think it's fascinating that you've lived like 50 lives. Like you
really
became famous
yeah.
super young. You had a super public relationship. You had 3 kids. You got divorced. Like people don't do that in their whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're in a marriage, which you're, 10 years, you understand marriage. Mm-hmm. You have these disagreements and you have this point where like, you're having these disagreements, not vibing, but you're like, I'm going to work through this. Like we're going to stay together. At what point did that switch flip? Because I don't even think it's a fine line. Like when you get married, that's like a hard line. And I can't imagine right now getting to that point and I'm just like trying to get in your mind, like where you're like, wait, I'm actually not doing this anymore.
Yeah, I think that it's hard because when I look back, you can just, hindsight's always 20/20. You can see so clearly. Like I look back now at certain things and I'm like, I really shouldn't have stayed in that marriage for as long as I did, or even really like been in the relationship. And then even
Sure.
thinking about like deciding to have kids and deciding to have another kid and deciding to have another kid.
Yeah, you're 3 deep.
Yeah, I'm 3 deep. Yeah, and I've said, I'm like, if I was gonna have another one, I'd probably just keep the same baby daddy just
Right.
for
Yeah,
the
you're in it.
logistics. It's easier.
No,
I'm not gonna have any
truly
more.
though.
But I feel like how I would describe my experience with that is there wasn't just one thing or a couple big things. It was like slowly my heart broke bit by bit, piece by piece throughout my entire relationship. And so I don't really know when there was like one moment that I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like that for a long time. And I would threaten that too. I was like, I won't be in this forever.
Which, by the way, that's like a complicated place to be in a marriage.
Yeah. And that's just not a healthy, like, I was young. I don't want to make excuses because it's like you shouldn't just be threatening divorce. But I
No, by
wanted
the way,
it to
that
be
is an
no.
excuse. Like you
Being young,
I
yeah.
mean,
It
and
is, but
and it's kind of crazy because like you mentioned being young, and I think it's such a good point. Like
yeah,
when
I was
you
so young.
so young, because you got married at
I was
what?
19.
I mean, that is
It
I
shouldn't
was
be legal.
I
Isn't it
didn't know
crazy?
Allie when I was 19.
Yeah.
And it's like you're in this place now. Like I asked you, hey, when's the last time you felt lost? You said this morning.
Yeah.
Do you look back at like that version of Aspyn that was 17 starting a new relationship and have not frustration with yourself, but with your environment? Because you came up, and I'm not going to call you Mormon because you're not Mormon.
Yeah. But growing up in Utah, I mean, that's all you know. Like the culture impacts you heavily.
Yeah, and you're 17, you're a product of your environment. Everybody's getting married and having babies. And now you're living in California. It's totally different. And if you would have
Yeah.
grown up here, maybe not have taken that same trajectory,
Yeah.
excluding children, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you look back and go, I'm kind of like frustrated with that environment?
I do because again, I always want to like take accountability for the choices and decisions that I made because I knew that I was young. I knew that it was like not even a crazy thing to do, but when it's so deeply ingrained in you that that's normal, you just don't question it because that
Yeah.
is even though I didn't grow up Mormon, like that's just the culture there. Like it's so, if you're not married by like 21, it's like, ooh, you gotta like, are you dating anyone? Like you gotta find somebody.
Yeah.
So to be 19, I thought I had it all figured out. And we had been together for like 2 years at that point, which in Utah culture,
2
that's a
years,
long time.
yeah.
I was like, oh, I know him. There's no surprises. Like I have my career going. I have a house. I have money. And I just felt like I had it all figured out. But I definitely feel like my environment, I mean, yeah, growing up that way, like it made me think that that was normal because it is normal there.
It literally was normal.
Yeah.
You probably look at young folks that are, young, want to be Aspens that are vlogging, doing the same thing. And you're like, oh, like you have that feeling, that icky feeling where you're like, don't.
I know.
Like,
and that's why I can't help but be like, do not get married young. Like, do not do what I did because again, it's so hard when you have kids because it's like you would never change anything because then you wouldn't have your kids, But like if you take that out of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would do everything different. I would never make those same choices that I made. And I can't go back and like do anything about it. But to have to like move forward from that. And that's my entire 20s really were
it's crazy.
given to that relationship. And like that's such a pivotal big time in your life. And it's hard to not just want to cry for myself.
I know and even like sitting here, like not to even take it a step deeper, like I feel that from you.
Yeah.
And viewing you as somebody who's so inspiring and like I just really value who you are.
Yeah.
It really does kind of hurt because it's like, dang, that does suck. And having a daughter, like I think about it in that light, like, dang, I would never want my daughter to feel like that. But again, you have to let go. And this is not me playing armchair therapist, but you do kind of have to let it go. Cause it's like, look, you were young and like you had all these life challenges early.
Yeah.
And we haven't even talked about it. Like you started vlogging when you were 14.
Mm-hmm.
The way you even wire your mind when you have that influence at that age, like you're not even prepared to like deal with some of the things that you dealt with. So like you're doing a great job.
Thanks.
I mean, it's crazy. And
just back to the starting the vlog when you're 14, like even dating, right? What point did you like blow up and like you felt like you had a footing with your social media?
So I started at 14, which was middle school, did it throughout middle school, did it through high school. And I think I started kind of getting bigger and getting more attention. It was pretty steady. And then it was the era right after I graduated. The era doesn't really have like a name, but everyone will know what I'm talking about. You probably didn't watch, so you might not know, but it's like everything was really saturated. We would film, like we would literally turn the saturation up. So it was like bright, it was colorful, it was fast paced. There was a lot going on. We would use like all the trending songs and mashups and do like 10 life hacks and morning routines and like all these different things. And it was literally a production. It went from just sitting in your room, talking to the camera by yourself usually, to like being a full on production. And that was when it kind of started blowing up for me, and you needed help. And so I would have Parker help me. So that was kind of how he got like involved with everything. And we kind of started doing it together, but I had already done it and was kind of established before that. But yeah, like 2014, 2015 was like around that time. And you needed someone to film you like on a stabilizer with the camera. Wow. And so it was around then.
Yeah. Cause I'm just thinking, and this was like the point of me asking, like you got into this relationship, but like I can imagine dating as like the cool girl who's got the YouTube channel. Even that's super challenging. Cause again, the point here is your pool of people that you even had to date had to be very small.
Well, I feel I went to school with a lot of the same kids from like middle school, elementary school, high school. So I feel like from my perspective, nobody thought of me as like famous or like the YouTube girl. It was like, oh, Aspyn, she like does YouTube, or like she has a YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, at that point, people don't really even understand.
Yeah, and it was not what it is today. So it was such a different thing. So I feel like it didn't really affect a lot of my friendships and everything like that. And I only ever dated like one person. I feel like it would have maybe been different because I did move to LA for like 3 weeks after I graduated, because that's what all the YouTubers did.
Yeah, all the cool
and
people.
So, yeah, but that was, at that time I needed, like I said, I needed help to film everything. Like I needed not full-time help, but you just needed someone. And so I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this on my own. And so I moved back home. And it was just too big of a culture shock and change to move from St. George, Utah, like little small town, to LA. So that lasted like 2 seconds for me, and I moved back home. But so I never really got to experience dating in any way. Like it would have been a completely different experience, more aligned with what you're saying, if I had moved to LA and stayed there and was actually single. Then it would have been a completely different experience for me. But I moved like back to my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And got married at 19. Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
And then like having, I mean, and this is, I know this is like something you're working through, and I was texting you about it, like what to call Parker.
Yeah.
And this, but having Parker help like with that, do you feel like there was like added pressure to stay with him? Even at that early stage, like was that just all encompassing and in one?
I think there was, because, I mean, I was like so, obsessed with him and in love at that point. And we were like so young and talking about getting married and all these things, because it's, again, just so common there. But I do feel like there was, I don't know if I would say pressure, because it was what I wanted.
But it was like
anyways.
A preset trajectory.
Yes. I was like, oh, this will be perfect. Like this works out great. Everyone loves him. He's on my vlogs. He can film for me. He can edit for me. Like it felt like the perfect plan like came together.
Yeah.
And even though, I mean, we never had like a perfect relationship, but especially when you're just that young, you just want everything to work. Like whether you have the situation that I had going on, that I was like, wow, how convenient if this all works out or not. And that was, I mean, my first boyfriend, like it would have been my first heartbreak or my first breakup at all. Like my first breakup was literally a divorce. Like I've never even been through anything like that, which is crazy.
That's mind.
I know.
That's scary though. It's scary.
It is. It really is. Like I would never want that for any of my daughters. I'm like,
that's what I'm saying.
Please don't do that. Yeah.
I know. It's like when people are like, don't sleep with somebody till marriage. If you want to do that, do your thing. And the point's not about being promiscuous. The point is you do have to date. You do have to explore.
Need life experience
to learn about yourself.
Yeah, I know. I mean, now I've like dated women, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I don't know if I would have like ended up with a man if I had given myself the chance to do that, because I never did.
So this is really interesting to me, because I'm thinking about your relationship, and I'm like, day one, you and Parker are working together.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of this, 10 years later, whatever the math is, day whatever, you're still working together.
Yeah.
And even after the divorce, people can still see videos with you and Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really complicated. And my question is, do you feel a sense of like obligation to him? Because you've always been the main character.
Yeah.
Like it's always been the Aspyn show, as it should be, because you're wonderful. But now you guys have gone through a divorce and he's obviously trying to find his identity and who he
Yeah.
is. Do you feel like this sense, and guilt's not the right word, maybe a little bit, but like a
Yeah.
sense of like, I have to keep that ship floating, especially for your family too.
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to my family, like I will always do everything that I can to protect them, provide for them, just make sure everyone is taken care of. And of course, that includes him, even if we are divorced. But we did start kind of separating like actual work things once we had kids, because it was so difficult to be married together, be parents together, be working together, like everything. It was just too much.
Mm-hmm. It's like anybody like that you care about that affects your family directly, like you're encouraging them to
Yeah.
be the best version of themselves.
Yeah. No, I was. I always encouraged him to go out and like build his own things, do his own things. He had different passions and things he wanted to do that were not social media based. So whether that happened or not, when I look back, I feel like I did what I could to try and set that up.
Mm-hmm.
And there was only so much I could do when it, it's that wasn't like my life. That was for him to go and do. So it is hard now in that way, because that didn't really happen. But in terms of just taking care of my family, and of course, again, that includes him, like I'm always going to make sure everything's taken care of. But it is hard looking back. I think I would just do a lot of things differently. And so it's like you look back and I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have done things different. But I also kind of feel like in the moment, I wanted to do things different, but I did all I could do to make them different. And it wasn't just up to me.
Yeah. I'm seeing a pattern though of like selflessness. You really like sacrifice yourself for the team. And like I use the analogy of keeping the boat floating. And like you really did a lot to keep the
I feel
all
like
the
I did.
boats. Do you wish you could go back and just be more selfish? And like if I needed, everybody get out of my way, I'm gonna worry about Aspyn.
I feel like as much as I can be selfless and I will always take care of my people, my family, whether that's like my mom, my sister, my extended family, my friends. If you're one of my people, I will make sure you're taken care of. And I think one of the things about me, a thing that I like about myself, is I look back in pretty much every situation that I can think of, like off the top of my head, and I always feel like I did what I could. So I never really have those feelings of, there's a lot of things that I like wish I would had done differently. Like,
of course,
again, getting married at 19. I'm like, if I could go back and somehow have like my same kids or whatever, but like change that part of my life, like I wouldn't do that. But I do feel like when I look back, I feel like I did all that I could to try and set things up to be the best for everyone. And then that was really all I could do, was like make those choices that I felt like were the best. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like when I think about myself, I don't know if I would say a selfish person, but I'm very big on like, you can't pour from an empty cup. Like that's how I look at it. So I'll always make sure my cup is filled so that I'm able to go and give to my people.
Yeah.
So it's funny you say you think that I'm selfless, because when I think of myself, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm a little bit selfish actually. But again, I have to make sure that my cup is filled to be able to take care of my people, but I will always do what I can to get to that point to take care of them, which I guess is selfless.
You have 3 kids, that you're a great mom too. Like you're selfless.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, thanks.
it's like by default.
Yeah. Kind of have to be.
It's so interesting though, because even like how you said you feel selfish, I feel like when you're doing what you do and you are a main character, it's hard to not, because you are the business.
Yeah.
It's hard to not think of yourself kind of in like a it's about me way.
Yeah.
Because it being about you helps your business and helps the whole ecosystem. And I know that's just also like a factor in all this. It's so interesting because half of marriages end in divorce, obviously. So like for people listening, it's like half of the people are going to deal with what you dealt with.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, and not to be like, what's your advice to them? But like, what would you say to the person that like is looking for a sign or like a point to leave? Because it's what I was asking you
Yeah.
earlier. Like when did the switch flip? When should somebody be like, no, it's actually time for me to leave?
Yeah. I mean, I think that when I look back, I really do feel like I tried everything. And that's something that I really hold on to, because I look back and I really don't feel like I could have done a lot of things different. Like, I don't look back and I'm like, well, maybe I could have like tried this or this or this. I feel like I just tried it all. And so I feel like that's something that really helps me to be able to get through, because I
Yeah.
don't look back and have those regrets and like wonder, well, what if I had tried this other thing or this other thing? Is like, I tried everything that I could.
Yeah.
And I feel like if anyone, it's so hard to think about giving advice, because I'm so privileged that I was able to leave and financially
Yeah.
set up for that. And I know so many women or men, however the dynamic works in their relationship, it's thinking about women, they aren't able to do that because they're not set up for that.
Right.
And so it's so hard to give advice, because I'm like, it was not easy for me to leave, but in that aspect, I'm like, I never had to worry about that. I never had to worry about working or how I'm going to pay my bills or where am I going to live or any of these things, because I knew that's the biggest problem. Like, I feel like that's why women stay, because they literally are not able
Yeah.
to leave.
I mean, they get stuck.
Yeah, they get stuck, which is so devastating. And I'm so fortunate that I was. So it's so hard to think about like what advice I would give, because to me, I'm just like, okay, well, once you get there, like you've got to make your plan and you've got to go. But like
Yeah.
people are not able to do that.
Totally.
But I think when you just think about the rest of your life and know that like you can't live like that anymore. I mean, I had like, I was so depressed. Like it was, I feel like I blocked a lot of it out, because it's just so difficult to think about like living through those times again. But there was obviously like good times and happy times. And I shared so much of my relationship online. And when I was filming or we were doing something, like it was good in that moment. I didn't film if we were fighting or in a bad mood or whatever it is. Like maybe sometimes here and there, if it's like, hey, well, I have a brand deal that I have to film, I've got to like pull it together and do that.
Like,
but
get your mind right. Like, it's just
yeah,
paying
like
the
we're
bills.
like, yeah, I got to pull through and get my work done. But there definitely were like, you know, lots of fun, good times. But I think that it is hard for me to look back. I was doing that the other day. I was looking at old videos and I was like,
dangerous.
I need to look in my eyes and like read myself. Like, was I okay? Was I faking? Because people do ask me that. And I mean, I just said 2 seconds ago, like, yeah, there were good times and we usually would only film like if we were good and whatever. But I know that that wasn't the case like all the time. And so I was like, I need to go back and see, like, can I see in my eyes how I felt? Because how did we get here? It's just crazy to have your entire life like documented like that for literally your entire relationship.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
So I was going back and I'm like, let me see like our interactions. What was it like? Because I mean, especially like back years ago, like it was better. It was different. But at this point in my like grieving healing process, I can't really remember those times. All I can think about is like the negative part of it. And so then to be able to go back and watch like literally hundreds of YouTube videos of us together is so weird, because I'm like, how is that me? How is that my life? Like what were we like? What was it like when the camera was off? Like, again, I feel like my eyes
So
like tell so
crazy.
much. Let me look at my own eyes. Like, what am I looking like when I'm talking to him? Like, can you see the love in my eyes? Do I seem happy? It's very, I don't even know the word, trippy maybe, to just be able to go back and see that for yourself for literally your entire, I mean, I was doing YouTube before him and now I do YouTube after him.
I mean, that's the most type A thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna go back and watch film with my eyes and make sure, like, get a vibe.
Yeah.
It's actually wild. And it's what you're describing is wild to me, because so like I'll give you an example. In the NFL, like you play as long as you can and make as much money as you can. But you sacrifice a lot outside of football, like developing yourself professionally. You sacrifice a lot of time. You sacrifice your body. I mean, you tear your body up.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to your end of your career, like for me, it was 7 years, and you almost feel trapped, right?
Yeah.
Like when I'm waiting to get signed, I'm like, I am just going to keep training and waiting and waiting and waiting, because I'm just like in this space and trapped. And I think about your YouTube journey very similarly. Like you're going through all these hard times, even now, still dealing with things. Like, do you feel trapped where you're just like, I'm kind of like in this? And I'll say one more thing and then I'll let you respond. I was watching the Weekly Trash and it was great. You always do a good job on camera. It's literally your job.
Thank you.
But there's one thing you said. You were like, and I have it written down. I don't even, because I don't want to misquote you. It's not
Yeah.
like an intense quote, by
Yeah.
the way. I'm not gonna be
Wait,
like,
what did I say that
gotcha.
inspired you so much?
No, I wrote it down because it stuck out to me. You said, I'm not
Yeah.
getting privacy, so I might as well give the people what they want.
Yeah.
That is a very challenging statement. And not saying you're doing anything wrong. Obviously, that's not the point of this. But it goes back to this idea of trapped.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel like when my divorce, I hate the word leaked because I'm like, that is just not, it just doesn't align with like how I think of myself.
I mean,
my information was leaked. Like, I hate that. So I always just say it was like posted about before I shared about it.
Yeah.
But I do feel like in a way that like rewires your brain because like I said, I didn't talk about it and I kept getting asked and it was all over my comments. There's like articles being written about it, like even months later. And so then when I finally was like, okay, yeah, let me just take it and run with it. Like, let me give the people what they want. Because again, I'm not getting my privacy anyways. And I'm glad that I did because it brought me essentially more followers, more money, more control, more opportunity. And at the end of the day, I look at that as that takes care of my family. Like, that's what it boils down to for me. Like, I don't care about, you know, the attention or the clout or the actual number of the followers or anything like that. Like, what I look at it as at the end of the day is, okay, I can provide for my children with this. Yeah, like, okay, I have this brand deal. Okay, I can put this money in their bank accounts. I can make sure I can get them a car or pay for their college or anything like that. Just create a good life for them. So I do look at that in a way as like a sacrifice for my family. Whereas I feel like maybe people would just be like, oh, she loves like the attention or the cloud or whatever it is. But I'm like, no, for my daughters, like I will do anything for them. And that's a hard line too, because you can be like, well, you're sharing like your personal life and like about your divorce and stuff like that. Like maybe that's not what's best for your kids. But that's why I've tried to like keep as much privacy as I can about like what actually has happened, what I've actually been through.
Yeah.
Versus just sharing what I've shared, that like everyone's going to have a different opinion. But I'm like, in my brain, I didn't share too much.
Sure.
Because I know the whole story.
No, you've been classy with it. Wild way to think about it, though.
Crazy ones. Have you not seen the one of me like straddling Parker?
Listen, baby, I know I was a bad girl.
Yes.
That one?
Well, that's why I asked, because that video is wild.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I'm seeing these videos, like Allie's like, oh, look, this video, Aspyn. And I'm like, she knows you. I'm like, I don't know who this is. Like, who's this dude? Like, but that's why I was saying, like, the keeping him in videos.
Yeah.
Because if I'm just random person, don't know you, my first thought is like, why post that?
Yeah.
And you had a bigger reason, like you were kind of trolling.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, I feel like that brings more complication in your life.
Yeah, it definitely can. I feel like in general, I think I cope with humor through all things hard. And so I'm just such a, like, nothing is a big deal to me. I think I've been through a lot of things in my life where the perspective that I have on my life and the world and literally just anything is like, nothing is a big deal.
Right.
I'm just here to have a good time until I die. And so to do something like that, I'm like, oh, it's just nothing.
Yeah, like, who cares?
It's just a funny video.
It
Yeah,
was
like
funny.
I laughed.
It was
like
good.
I thought it was
good.
funny. I was like, come here, I have this idea. So
yeah,
anyway,
I like a little bit of spice, right? Like take it into your own hands. Like,
yeah,
you know, you can do what you want. But I'm like, this is wild. Like,
yeah, no, it was. That was probably my craziest one. But again, I look back and I'm just like, that to me is funny. And if like someone doesn't laugh, I'm like, we just have different sense of humor. Yeah.
It's also wild. Like I wouldn't have, like if I was him, I would have been like, no, I'm not doing this. To each their own.
Yeah.
It's judgment free. I just would have been like, this is a hard line for me that I'm not crossing. But again, we won't deep dive in that. But there's a story of liberation here because I feel like you're in this phase of life now where you're taking things into your own hands. Like you took your marriage into your own hands and got a divorce. Even with your content, like you're having fun on TikTok. I'm the biggest fan of the question series on Sundays.
Yeah, that's what Ali said.
Yeah, no, I am. And you're taking control even in your dating life.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much to deep dive in just with the dating.
Yeah.
I'll start with this. You have been seeing women, not like multiple, but like, I mean, I'm like, is this like, Maybe, but like back to the flip of the switch, like,
Yeah.
did you ever have like the inclination that you might be into women?
I think that now that I've had those experiences, I've said this a couple times, like I couldn't, until I had experiences with women, I couldn't say I'm just too technical with myself and like
Too type
literal,
A,
where I'm
yeah.
like, I have to know before I say. Like, how would
Yeah.
I know? How would I say and make that claim? Which I feel like is such, I hate to say that, even though I've said it multiple times, because I feel like that's kind of a dangerous statement.
Well, I know
Or-
you, because you dealt with like the queer baiting
Yeah,
and
people
like
have been telling me
the,
I'm queer baiting, they're fake, that I'm faking, like anything, or I'll post like something and they're like, I just don't believe it. And I'm like,
I can
that's fine, 'cause
confirm,
I'm
I
not
know
trying to
enough, you're
date-
not faking.
you know enough.
You're
Yeah.
not faking.
No, yeah, you know probably a lot. But yeah, I think I had to have experiences before I could say that, or before I knew. And when I got married and only dated my first boyfriend, I didn't ever give myself that chance to explore that. So now that I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, like everything clicks and like makes sense to me. But when I hadn't had those experiences, and it wasn't even just that I hadn't had them, I wasn't allowed to have that because I was in a straight closed marriage.
Yeah.
So it's like I didn't let myself fully think about all of that because I didn't think I was ever going to have the opportunity to do that. That was like a sad thought to me. Like I remember thinking like, wow, if I never hook up with a girl, like that's so crazy that I would never know what that's like. Like I would totally do that. And I think I would like it.
When did you think that?
I feel like forever. But then I said this on another
that's
podcast
intense.
the other day. I said this exact same thing, but like when you are bisexual, you just think that everyone kind of thinks that way. You like men and women. And so it's like, oh, well, of course I would like try hooking up with a girl. Like, why not?
So you definitely had points in your marriage where you might have like fantasized about hooking up with a woman.
Oh yeah, I definitely was like, well, if I never get to do that, like that's so sad. But then I'm like, wouldn't everyone say that? And then when you have those feelings,
they don't. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to be like, I'm
no,
Mr. Macho, but like,
I know, but like I'm just like, what? And then now that I've done it, I'm like, are you guys serious?
You're like,
that
"This
you
is
wouldn't
great."
want to do that? Yes, like that's how I feel. Like I've been so lucky in the experiences that I've had. They've been very positive and like beautiful moments to me. And so then when I think about like, I was literally here for girls' night the other day, and we were sitting at that table out there painting, and I was like, you guys, like you don't get it. I was literally talking
it's if
about,
you don't know, you don't know. Like,
no, yeah, you don't know what you don't know. But I was talking about, I don't even know like what I can
yeah,
say.
let me
but
in
like,
the girls' night because I'm in the back room, like
I
taking care
know
of
you
Scotty.
should have
Like,
been
this
out
feels
there.
juicy.
I was talking about like getting high and then hooking up, which I haven't like done before.
Yeah, you weren't
until
doing that in
recently.
marriage. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was with a girl. And I was like, you guys, you don't get it. Like when I was in that moment and that was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, my friends, I feel so bad for them that they're never going to experience this. Like, this is like, I'm trying to think of the word. Literally euphoric.
Whoa.
Yes.
Euphoric that's like,
a big
that's a
word.
special word
Yes,
to use.
it's like otherworldly. And again, it's probably literally just that I was high because I've never done that.
Yeah, but
with
maybe
a
not.
man.
Maybe not.
But I was like, oh my gosh, my friends are never going to experience this. Like, this is so crazy. Because I mean, I don't know what exactly they all would identify as, but I feel like they're pretty much all straight.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys, you don't get it. And they were like, no, but we can just like get high and hook up with our husbands if we want to. And I was like, I swear it's different. But maybe that's just because I'm like very gay in that way.
So you had these thoughts like for a long time.
Yeah. But again, you just think that everyone kind of does.
Did you ever talk to Parker about it?
I did, yeah. But like, I wouldn't, especially when I hadn't had those experiences and I couldn't have those experiences. Like, I wasn't in a relationship where I would have been allowed that freedom. Like, you hear about that sometimes if someone's like in an open marriage or whatever. And like the girl wants to experiment with women, like whatever. That wasn't a situation that I would have been in. So I just couldn't even like really let myself go
your
there.
mind couldn't
Yeah,
fully.
because I was like, well, I can't. Not that I wouldn't want to, but I can't. And I can't let myself think so deeply about that when I will never get that chance because it was like too painful in a way.
Yeah. You're kind of letting us in a little bit to like maybe some of the places in your life that you were lacking.
Yeah.
Like in your relationship. Because now you're like, oh, this is euphoric. Like this is like my mind is blown when you're thinking about your sexuality. Do you feel like you have parts of yourself now that are way more satisfied when we're thinking about like your sexuality? Like you're like, I am I am very, very pleased with this.
Yeah, I think that now that I've had those experiences, again, I would say that if I had known this about myself earlier, if I had explored more earlier, I think that I probably would have ended up with a woman as a life partner. And it's easy for me to say that now because I have kids. And
Yeah,
obviously you
because
can
it's
have
a huge factor.
Yeah, that is a huge factor. I feel like compulsive heterosexuality, where it's like you don't really think about anything else other than just like, I'm straight, I want to marry a man, and I want to have kids, like the old fashioned way. I feel like I
Yeah.
had a lot of that, even though I grew up in a family with a mom that was always told me, like, you can love who you want to love. We support anybody who loves differently. Like,
That's
we support
awesome.
everyone. We love everyone. So I do talk about sexuality in a very lighthearted way because it is very lighthearted to me. And I know that that in itself also is a privilege because I didn't have any deconstructing to do, like religious deconstructing, or I don't even feel like I like came out because I feel like I
I
always
mean, the
made.
rainbow in the bio was like,
I did that because they kept telling me I was queer baiting. So I
that
was like, you
went
know what?
viral. I was like,
Let's put the rainbow in the bio.
It's
Like,
still
let's do
there.
it because I'm serious. It is still there.
It's
I'm like, I'm
we're
not going to
still-
take it out.
we're still there. Obviously, like, you had to have a conversation with your mom about this. Like, when I say this, rainbow in the bio
Yeah.
is what we'll refer to it as.
Yeah.
Was she just chill with it?
That's the thing is I didn't really even have a conversation because I've definitely over the years like made multiple comments of like, I don't know, I would love to be a lesbian, like something like that. Like, I don't think she would have been
That's so
shocked.
funny. That's like super specific, by the way. That's not like a
No,
casual, like,
last night I couldn't sleep and I was searching like different words in my text and I searched the word lesbian because I was like, how far back was I making these jokes? Like, because now that I'm aware that I like have those feelings and whatever and like to date women, I'm like putting together all these little puzzle pieces where it's not shocking to me at all. But I'm just like, okay, I know that back then, like I knew that I couldn't have those experiences, but I knew I had like these thoughts about whatever. So it's like kind of trying to just piece things together and be like, okay, well, like this makes more sense now. This makes more sense. Okay, I knew
yeah.
whatever. So I searched the word lesbian in my text. And there's so many times where I was like, I would love to be a lesbian. I want to be a
You're just putting out
lesbian. Lesbians
nuggets,
have
like-
it the best. Like, so nothing was shocking. So I don't think that I'm trying to remember when I even first would have like told her that I was like talking to a girl because it would have been recent. But I think she was so chill. And because I have like made those comments over the years that nothing was like shocking. And I do feel so grateful for that because there truly was no moment of like, oh my gosh, I need to like talk to my mom about this or like, I don't know what she's going to say or whatever. And I feel like that experience too is very rare.
Yeah.
Because she was just always, not even just with like sexuality, but like being like politically correct. Like we don't say these certain words. We don't say these terms. We don't feel this way, but like just we love everyone. She was just very good at raising us in that way. Like there was never a doubt in my mind that I couldn't, love whoever I wanted to love. So I feel so fortunate because I feel like that's just such a rare
It's sad.
experience. Like I can't really think of anything off the top of my head or anybody else that would maybe have that same experience where it didn't need to be like a big conversation.
Yeah. Well, I know one thing. In our household, in the future, it won't be a conversation. If that comes up with, our family, everybody, or excuse me, a lot of people in the South that I grew up with, that would be a huge issue. You also mentioned something, and like this is super Mormon because and this might be basic of my understanding's basic, but Mormon, I'm trying to think because I don't want to attack Mormon people, but open marriages, at least as people see it, have been more prevalent in Mormon households. Not all Mormons do that. We know that. I'm not labeling Mormons. But you mentioned like I didn't have the opportunity to like have an open.
Yeah.
Is that something you would explore? Like, especially outside of marriage, because you said you don't want to get married.
Yeah.
Like, do you like that freedom sexually where it's just like, not that you're promiscuous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do. I think that, so with Mormons, it's like a different branch called the FLDS. It's like, that's like polygamous, whereas like there's the one guy and then the multiple wives.
Okay, expert.
That's something,
you do have that
of
more.
course I know that lore. That's something that I think when it's like tied into religion too, especially, I'm like, no, I'm like not interested in that. But I think that it's so, I don't know, I'm so early on in like my journey of being single that I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know who I am or what I want.
Yeah, and don't feel like you have to like I mean,
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm really good about like, I will not label myself. Like even now, like I said, bisexual earlier or whatever, just making a reference of like liking both, you
Yeah.
know? But like even that, I'm like, well, I don't really
I'm not
like
really,
label
yeah.
myself. Yeah, like
Yeah,
if
we'll
I like
title it
you,
Aspyn Ovard is bisexual.
yeah,
That'll be the
perfect.
episode
Perfect.
title. So
I'll
you don't have
sign
to
a
worry about
contract
that.
that
Yeah.
says that. But I feel like there's just like I feel like my world, especially even just moving to California, like not even just with dating or whatever, but I feel like moving here and now being divorced and being single and being in this new chapter, like my entire world is opened up. And so even just being around different types of friends who have different types of relationships or like open relationships or just different things like that, especially being from Utah where there's really kind of only like one way. Like, yes, there's the FLDS,
Yeah, we
but
have the
that's a lot
FLDS
less
sector.
common.
Yeah.
Like most Mormons or most, not even just Mormons, like friends, people that I know, they are, if they're in a marriage, it's like a straight closed marriage.
Sure.
And then I meet people here, like meet different friends, and they're just all different types of friends of different sexualities, different relationships. And I love surrounding myself with people who are just different in that way because I'm like, well, I don't know what I am or
Yeah.
what I like. Like, I love being able to talk to different people and like hear their different experiences on things and not even just talk to them and learn from them, but just be surrounded by them. Like it's just such a different vibe than like the conservative vibe that I've been around before. So I do think it's really fun now that I am single to just be able to explore. It feels like my options are kind of just like endless in that way. I'm like, wow, I really can do anything because
Yeah.
I'm pretty set on, I know that I don't legally want to get married again. Even just thinking about being with like one man, I'm like, I don't know if that's for me.
Yeah. Which is fair.
Not that I want to be with more than one man.
No,
One man
listen,
would be too many.
You,
But
yeah, I feel like multiple dudes would be like, bro, y'all are
I
all annoying
can't.
me.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah,
That'd be
get
too
out of
much.
my.
No.
You deserve to have this feeling though. Like, let's not get it
Yeah.
twisted. It's been tumultuous. Is like you're
Yeah.
this whole journey. So like, good for you, and you're documenting it. Which there's good and bad pieces of documenting this.
Yeah.
Figuring out your sexuality. Like most people aren't figuring out their sexuality online, and not saying you're
Yeah.
like, hey, today I'm feeling more rainbow. Today I'm not.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I
But
feel like that's kind of how it's been. Like I said earlier, that I don't always share things as I'm going through them, but I am sharing this as I'm going through it. And I'm trying to keep my level of privacy. I'm not like, oh, last night I went on a date with like this new person, so and so, and here's how it went, and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I have shared definitely bits and pieces of like that I have gone on dates or like just different things like that. Or I did a video that was like my dating wrapped, like a recap of like
I know,
my dating
I
from
randomly saw
2024.
that.
Yeah. And so it has been, that is something that I feel like I'm kind of like live navigating,
Yeah.
like and sharing because again, I'm very fortunate that to me it is like a lighthearted
Yeah.
topic and lighthearted thing. And I just feel like that's not a lot of people's experiences. And so I kind of like sharing how I am as I'm like figuring it out and doing it because I think it's nice for someone to maybe see that it doesn't have to
For
be
sure.
so scary and such a big deal. And I know that a lot of those things, when people feel that way, it's because they've like grown up in a super religious family and community and background for like 25 years. And then now they're like, wait a minute, like maybe, maybe I feel different or maybe whatever. So it's understandable that it's not lighthearted to everyone, but it is to me. And so I hope that maybe somebody out there somewhere is inspired by that because it can be that way.
Right.
And I just feel like a lot of people, I don't really see a lot of people talk about it that way. Because like if they talk about it that way, it's like they've been through a really hard journey of getting there.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm starting there.
No, what you're doing is very, very powerful and beneficial. It's scary because like we talked about like looking at other people doing it. It's scary to think that people go their whole lives living in that box.
Mm-hmm.
Either living in that box in the way that they think, like maybe they themselves don't need to explore, but like still they're judging people that are.
Yeah.
Or they need to explore and they're not able to. Like that's a very scary feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't even imagine like thinking about even like Caitlyn Jenner or something. I'm like, oh my gosh, she was so old when she finally got to like be herself. Like that makes me sad.
Yeah, it is super sad. And the point that I was trying to make though with sharing it is, do you ever worry about like the sharing piece with children? Because obviously like, and you're so tasteful with it, so this is not an attack at all, but we all share a lot.
Yeah.
And we all are going to be accountable for everything. I think the biggest thing you did was not oversharing your divorce, but just like, has that been something that you've thought about? Like, dang, I should probably tone back, or who cares, or like, I'm good.
Yeah. I feel like I definitely, again, like I said, my mom was always very like taught us to be in support of love everyone, love is love. Anybody can love who they want to love. We support everybody doing whatever type of thing they want to do like that. So I definitely want to teach my daughters the same way. And I feel like the big thing to keep in mind, like that I keep in mind, is just making sure that when I am talking about these certain things to them, that it's just age appropriate, because I'm sure that like they're gonna know like, oh, mom likes girls. Like I don't
Yeah.
want them to ever think there's something wrong with that. And I think it is interesting because not even just for this aspect of my life and sharing children, or like sharing things with my children, I feel like I have been a guinea pig for all of these things that I have been through, because I'm like a first generation
You're the
YouTuber.
OG. You're
Yeah.
the OG.
So it's like going through sharing dating and my relationship and getting married and having kids, and then even like sharing my kids and all these things. Like I look back and I'm like, of course there are other people who are like doing similar things, or maybe someone who's like a year or two ahead of me or whatever. But I feel like at the end of the day, I don't have a lot of examples to look to.
Right.
And I didn't as I was growing up and sharing all these different things online. And I feel like that's kind of where it is now, where of course I try to be mindful of what I'm sharing and make sure that I'm not sharing. I feel like what would cross the line for me is if I was talking like explicitly about sexual things. That's where I'd be like,
Yeah,
okay,
where it
that's
gets a little-
probably too much for my kids. But if I'm just talking about exploring sexuality or dating after divorce or anything like that, I like to think that I will not regret things like that later down the line,
Mhm.
because I just want to have like open, I don't even know what the word would be, like open, good communication and relationships with my daughters, that like they would know these things or feel comfortable to talk about these things with me. Or if they felt like they were, you know, queer in some way or whatever, I always want them to be able to talk about these things with me. So I would
Yeah.
hope that me speaking about them online would not negatively impact them later, because it's not something I would ever be ashamed of to like be exploring myself in this way.
Yeah. It should be encouraged.
Yeah.
It should be encouraged. And it's funny because, like, I hate the question, because this is like a super NFL locker room question where it's like, would you rather have your son be gay or some other extreme, like,
Yeah.
or like die? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, wait, this is not the context in which we need to be
Yeah.
talking about somebody being gay.
Yeah.
It's super unhealthy and it's scary.
Mhm.
You mentioned, though, just your kids in general and being online. And like we talked before this, and you're like, I want to talk about, you know, the child exploitation piece of it. And we probably would have telepathy and be thinking of the same creator. Like, I've seen people talk crazy about sex online
Mhm.
and then like also show their kids, and then also like have their kids in the future going to watch it. Just generally, just to spark the conversation, just talk a little bit about your decision, though, to definitively not have your kids on social media, because we do the same thing
Yeah.
and it's important to us.
Yeah. I feel like it was just, I have so many regrets like about sharing my kids.
Yeah,
now that
because
I
like
can
2
look
years
back.
ago, you did show them. What was the
Yeah.
point?
Yeah, I stopped sharing them about like 2 years ago. And you'll kind of see if they're ever in something, I will like blur them out, or typically I'll try to just not have them in the shot. But if I'm filming something, my goal is always to have it not disrupt. Like if I was filming like my morning routine or my night routine or something where like my kids, it makes sense that they're around. Whereas normally sometimes it's like, get ready with me, whatever. I'll try and do that when I'm not with them, or when
Right.
they're like doing quiet time or something, so that I'm not disrupting our family time. But if I ever was filming something like a morning routine or whatever, I'll blur them out, or try to kind of just have like, you know, angle the camera so they're not in the shot. So I don't share their faces. I don't talk a lot about like their personalities or things about them, like actual information about them. And I used to just share like everything, but I thought that I was being mindful. I thought like at the time that I was still keeping their privacy by like not sharing too much. But yeah, it's been, I think, a little over 2 years maybe since I stopped sharing them. And it was a very hard transition to go from me thinking I was being mindful and me thinking I was pulling back from sharing them to actually
Mhm.
not doing it anymore. And
Yeah.
then so that really showed me like, oh, I was sharing them a lot and I don't like that. Even just pictures of their faces, or
It's
it
a
was,
slippery slope.
it is, yeah. And it was when I was like registering my daughter for school, and I was like, I don't like that her teachers could go on and
Oh,
see all this
yeah.
stuff about her, or even kids in her class, like maybe their mom follows me and like saw that my kid just went on this vacation here, or that my kid likes this TV show or whatever. And I just didn't like it. I didn't like that there was like anything out there about them. It really bothered me and made
It's
me kind of like
scary.
rethink everything. Yeah. And then now that I look back, I mean, I don't want to say it's more popular to not share your kids now, because that's like not the word that I want to use. But I think people are just more aware of the dangers of it, and that like we shouldn't be doing that. And back then, like it was a little bit of a different time,
Right.
but I hate that I used to do that. And I wish I could go back and I would just do everything differently. I think I was just so excited to like be a mom and share that journey. And it just felt like the organic next step for me, even for like just, I mean, I would vlog my life. And so it's like, okay, I'm vlogging like dating, and I'm building a house, and now I'm engaged, and now I'm getting married, and now I'm pregnant, and I'm having a baby. Like it was just so natural for me to like
Right.
share. And again, I always felt like I was being mindful to not share too much. But then when I look back, I'm like, oh, I completely overshared
Yeah.
everything. And I just really wish that I hadn't. I didn't even share my third baby's name until recently. And the only reason I did is because it was, I would delete comments if I saw it, but like there would just be comments all over, like, oh, baby L is so cute, blah, 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 which
Oh my
I don't
God.
even like
How
show her
frustrating
face.
is that
But
though? You're like, bro, can y'all give me a second
I
to
know,
breathe?
I'm
Like,
like, just why are you sharing this like infant baby's information?
it's crazy. And a couple things. One, I know somebody who works at my agency who's been following you for years, because
Mhm.
she's around our age, so she followed the OG Aspen journey. And she said she was bummed when you stopped sharing, because she was like, oh, I loved seeing their family.
Yeah.
But it's just an example of like, well, why do they care so much?
Yeah, if it's trendy to not share your kids, like I
Let's
think
do
that's
it.
a great trend, and I think more people should hop on it. It kind of shocks me how many people do still share when the conversation is now so big.
Point is, like, you do see these creators truly exploiting their kids. Like, there's no other
Yeah.
way to describe it. And the reason I think it's even more awful is because I know if I go post a TikTok right now and I hold Scotty, even if her face isn't in it, and I put a sweet text over it and I'm like, girl, dad, yada, 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 that video is going to do well.
Yeah.
And every single, you don't compete and try to get better as a content creator without knowing how videos perform.
Mhm.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah, you know what you're doing.
And like, I wonder for you, did you have, like, can you think of a moment where you felt that, where you were like, wait, I actually think I should include my kids because it'll do better?
I do remember a moment where with my oldest daughter, I had got her a new outfit, and it was like had her favorite character on it, whatever. And it like came in the mail. We were excited to open the package, and I was like, oh, I want to set my phone up and film. And just the feeling of like setting up to film that moment, it felt like I ordered the outfit for her like anyways, whether I was going to film it or not, because it's her
Right.
favorite character. She loved it. It was cute, whatever. Would have done it without filming. But the fact that I did it and then was going to like set up the moment to film, it just felt so icky. I remember
Yeah.
specifically, and I think I shared her still for like a little bit after that. She's probably like a year and a half old. So I shared her for a little after that. But it was just like a terrible feeling where I was like, I hate that, like, I feel like I set this up and I got this for her to like make a video of her. Like, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in general, it's like I knew what I was doing too, with like baby's first time at Target, baby's first Christmas, like leaving my baby for the
Absolutely.
first time, like all these things. Like I said, I was watching my own vlogs the other day, literally yesterday, because I
You're like,
need
man,
to
I was in my
study.
bag then.
I know,
Yeah.
no, it's like 700,000 views, 600,000, like blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. All these videos are sponsored. I'm like, I know I was raking it in. This was such a popular time on my channel. Like I knew exactly what I was doing. And again, I felt like I was being mindful. I felt like I wasn't sharing too much. I don't
But
know
you
how
still knew
I
like
thought
what
that.
you were doing, right? Like, you're
Yeah.
like, I know this is like better.
Yeah.
That, you know.
Yeah. No, I knew for sure.
It's also scary too, because like brands, like I just saw an ad on TikTok where like the kid was like the focal point of the ad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what brand is
I know, especially
encouraging
these
this?
days. Yeah. I feel like brands these days are definitely a lot more understanding of not wanting to share, because I'll still work with brands that are like, I did a brand deal with a like bath, like body wash thing for kids the other day. And they didn't require me to like show the kids, like anything like that, which I think is great. But I know in the past it would be like, oh, we'd love to have like mom and baby in the picture, blah, blah,
Oh,
blah.
it's
Or I know
crazy.
that I've done ads. I can think of one. I think it must have been for Huggies, but it's like the cutest picture of my daughter as a baby sitting by a box of diapers. Like, I can't remember if she was like in a diaper. I know she had on a shirt at least, but like, I'm like, if she was just in a diaper, like,
It's crazy.
there's just so many things I, again, would go back and do differently. But like that ad was just a straight up picture of her.
It's wild. And I've had like same thing. I've had brands or a brand that I can specifically think of that I've worked with. And on the briefing call, they were like, if you include your kid, like this is what we want the type of clothes for them to be wearing. And like, I'm like, you're giving me guidelines
Yeah.
to include my kid. It's really scary. And then we have to talk about this real quick. You just have to explain to me your connection with Ruby Frankie. Is it Frank
Okay.
or Frankie?
Frankie. Ruby Frankie. Yeah.
Because I was not like an OG YouTube watcher,
Yeah.
but I saw that documentary and it was gross.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel like whenever I like think about it or like someone asks me about it or brings it up or something, I'm like, I just don't even have words. But I've known Ruby's sisters for a long time. And so my only actual memory or connection like with Ruby is when I saw, I think it was only one of her sisters. I was at a like trade show thing for my clothing store and I was newly pregnant. And so I was vlogging, telling
Is that the
her
screenshot I
sister,
sent you?
yeah, telling her sister and like everybody that they were with, like her sister's husband, maybe it was both her sisters, I don't know. But I was telling them that I was pregnant. And I don't have any direct memories like of that moment with Ruby. All I know is she was there and she seemed excited for me. I went back and watched that the other day
She's
too.
probably like, ching, 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 ching.
Yeah, she's like, oh, good for you. You're going to make even more money.
Yeah.
But that's my only like direct memory of Ruby. She's like in my thumbnail, like in the video. But that was, I mean, yeah, maybe like 6 years ago now. So I don't know. I know like over time she kind of got worse with everything she was doing, which is so incredibly horrific. But
her situation though is it feels like it's less of a child exploitation issue and more of like a psycho-religious cult issue.
Yeah, I know. I think it like kind of started one way and then
it just turned
went
into like
to a really hardcore, devastating extreme. But I mean, I hope people can even look at that, even though, again, I don't feel like that. It's not like all family bloggers are doing something like that, you know, but I'm glad that it's opened up a conversation to make people more aware of like, that's crazy, but also look what happened to her family and her kids, like even just sharing them on YouTube. Like, let's be more cautious. Let's not share.
yeah.
So as horrible as that is, I feel like it has been, if you had to pick a silver lining, just the fact that it opened up that conversation
Totally.
more, because I feel like people have talked about that significantly more since all of that information has come out.
Yeah.
And I just think it's such an important conversation to have.
Totally. And for the record, her husband, like, and I have no problem saying this, the fact that he left that family for a year,
Yeah.
I will never understand how somebody could do that and how they are not held responsibility for that.
Yeah. I
Like
don't
you
know.
are held responsible for that because, I mean, as a parent, that's your responsibility. You have
Yeah.
one job.
I know the whole thing is like devastating is not a heavy enough word. Like I just feel like there are no words
Yeah.
for
It
how
is.
devastating it is.
It's
but-
so sad. Like he
No,
looks
he does.
good.
But I'm
with
like,
it.
Kevin, shouldn't you probably be in jail too?
No, literally.
Yeah.
It's super frustrating.
Yeah.
One of the last things that I wanted to mention on that was you, in a weird way, are a product of that, though, right? Like you started YouTubing when you were 14.
Yeah.
Now, if any of your daughters were 14 carrying around a camera 24/7, you'd probably go, hey, you probably shouldn't be doing that. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
So you're kind of in this weird place where you're like, I'm not going to show my kids. I'm anti-family vlogging, whatever you want to call it. But you're a product of that.
Uh-huh.
So like, how do you reconcile those two thoughts?
Yeah. I know. I was thinking about that the other day, actually, because I haven't really thought of it in that way. Because when I think of it, I'm like, oh, well, I used to share my kids and now I don't. I've taken down as many posts as I can. You can't like take them down when they're sponsored, but I've like done what I can to change what I
so
did.
you've taken posts down that you felt like were...
Yeah, but a lot of my stuff is sponsored and like the contracts, like it has to stay up and it doesn't
Sure.
bother me that much in a sense that I look back and I'm like, well, that's not even like my kid anymore. Like they don't look like that, talk like that, act like that, whatever.
Right.
But I have heavily spoken out about not sharing my kids. But then the thought did hit me the other day where I was like, wait a minute, but you could say that like I exploited myself because I started doing this and made this choice at 14.
Or even that your parents were like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like the
Right?
fact that my mom like let me do that, I'm like, that's crazy. And she definitely kind of like monitored like what I was doing and whatever. And the internet wasn't, I don't want to say it was less scary because I don't know how we can measure that, but like times were a little bit different back then.
I mean, you didn't have Reddit, you didn't have TikTok, you didn't have Reddit, you didn't have Reddit. Like you didn't.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. It was a little bit less scary, it felt like. But now thinking about, yeah, if it was my kids or just thinking about those choices that I made, but it's gotten me here.
It's super weird, right?
It's so hard. Yeah. And like, obviously money is not everything, but to have financial freedom to like be able to take care of my family and take care of my children. And this job has given me the opportunity to, one, provide financially, like I just said, but also I can spend so much time with them. Like I get to pick my hours. I can work minimal hours. I can just do a lot of things as a mom that I'm very grateful for, like to be able to have that time with them. Or we've gone and done like fun things with hotels and got to stay for free. Like this job has just provided me with a lot of really cool opportunities and things for my family. So it's hard to look back and be like, oh, well, maybe I, shouldn't have done that. Or I was so young when I made these choices. Because when you look at it, it's like, okay, well,
it's tough. There's no perfect
there's like
answer.
the benefit. I posted something about this the other day because somebody had asked me like, oh, or do you ever get embarrassed of like your old moments or something like that? Because again, a lot of my life is documented. And I replied with a video and I was like, oh, of course. Like I have so much cringy stuff online, like whatever. And then the comments were all like, well, at least you got paid for yours. Like we all did the same thing, but like we didn't make money for it. And I was like, you got me there.
That's true.
You got me there. Yeah.
Listen, I've seen your house. Like, you've got a nice spot.
Well,
you guys aren't
very
missing
lucky.
meals. So like it's worked out very well. And it kind of brings me to the very last thing, because I do appreciate you being honest. It's fun. Like we've got all this information about who you are, what you've gone through, and like you've learned a lot. What does it look like now as far as like your journey with YouTube? And not even YouTube, but just social media in general. You're in what I feel like off of listening to you is a little bit of like a redefining space, self-exploration space. Like what journey do you want to take people on now?
I feel like I'm always such a planner and like looking forward to the next big thing, or I have this project idea, or I want to do, ABC. But I do feel like right now I'm in a space where I just like don't know where life is going to take me.
Yeah, you just
and I feel like
be...
that's somewhere, that I haven't really been before. So I'm trying to kind of just embrace that as it is and like not really have a plan. I definitely plan to still continue like doing all the social media things that I do, because that is my job, has been my job, will be my job for a long time. But I don't really have anything super big on the horizons or anything like planned out for my next move. And I'm kind of just enjoying that right now because I feel like I've just been through so much the last few years and like continue to go through so much. And then now I'm in this phase of like, life is so different and I'm single for the first time ever and like exploring different things about myself. So I feel like we're just in a phase of like, we don't know what's going on, but we're all just here and we're going to like hang out and figure it out. And I feel like that's not really how my life has like been before. So it's kind of just a different phase. But at the same time, I don't know like where exactly it's going to go.
Also, like you're facing a dilemma, and I wouldn't even call it a dilemma. You're facing like a fork in the road where like nobody else that's 29 deals like with this, where they're like, I've made a ton of money. Like I have fame, aka like a billboard to do whatever project I want.
Yeah.
But like, what do I do? Right. So it's like, and not saying you're saying, what do I do? But like Allie deals with it where she's like, what's next?
Yeah.
It's like a good and tough place to be.
Yeah.
But it's a good place to be.
Yeah. No, it is. I feel like it's an interesting place because I always have wondered like, okay, what's next? I got to look for the next thing, whatever. Yeah. Very type A. I'm like, I need my plan, what's happening. So to not have that and just be trying to like, I don't even know if I would say live in the moment. I would say just like get through. I feel like I just have so much like healing to do. And so it's just so much to navigate like all at once. So I feel like I'm just going literally day by day, week by week, being like, okay, what are we doing now? How can we figure it out? How are we getting through the day?
Yeah.
So
you have a lot.
It's a different way of living than I've like done before.
Yeah. You're unbelievable. I'm like,
you.
I'm telling you when I text
Thank
you,
you,
I'm your number
bro.
one fan, yada, yada, yada. I mean
Yeah.
that with all sincerity.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, I really appreciate you getting on. That was tons of fun.
Yeah.
I know I mean, that millions of people are going to see this, so I would be ready
Yeah.
for that.
Okay, I hope they think I did good.
They will,
But thank you.
of course.